to the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. Get in on the conversation. Call 1-877-669-1292.
And good Sunday afternoon, evening. My name is Howie Silbiger. Now, it's afternoon somewhere. Not necessarily where I am, but it's afternoon somewhere. So good afternoon, evening. My name is Howie Silbiger. This is the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. Do appreciate you tuning in. As promised, I will have some more information about the changes to the show. I promised you on Sunday that I would have more information. And as promised, I will provide a little more information about the changes on the show. You are listening to the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. Download the app from your favorite app store, the True Talk Radio Network app. True Talk Radio is a 24-hour radio station, and we air a lot of shows. The Howie Silbiger Show is one of the better shows on the station, but we have a lot of other great programming on True Talk Radio. Check out the schedule, truetalkradio.com. Download the app. You could also watch the Howie Silbiger Show on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, on YouTube, and of course right here, wherever you're watching it, and on the True Talk Radio, on the truetalkradio.com, on the website. So this week has been an interesting week, and it's a week I wanted to talk to you about. I'll be joined, by the way, in a couple of minutes by Sheldon Eric Freed. It's a week I wanted to talk to you about because, to me, it's been a little strange. And the reason it's been a little strange is not so much because of the changes we're making in the show. I mean, I've been working hard on that, and we've been trying to get that in order. I don't have all the information for you tonight, but I will have a lot more than I gave you on, let's say, Tuesday. But that's not really why this week has been interesting. This week, the United States brokered a peace agreement between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. Now, this peace deal that they brokered was a giant step forward in foreign relations, a giant step forward in foreign relations for the United States. It was a historic deal, first time that Israel has made a deal with an Arab country that has been hostile to Israel since the birth of Israel. It is the first time that Israel has achieved this kind of a peace agreement. They're opening full diplomatic relations and full trade, and it is amazing. And if other Arab countries take the lead of the United Arab Emirates, the Middle East could blossom as a great region of the world. The only thing is that because it was brokered by Donald Trump and the Trump administration, mainstream media has been playing it down. Not only have they been playing it down, and not only have they been talking about how uninspired this deal is and how unoriginal this deal is, they've been saying it's actually a bad thing. Now, one of the now I'm going to go Canadian now because we're in Canada. One of the major Canadian news networks, CTV News, in announcing this deal, they did this. I want to show you the whole clip, and then I want to talk about the clip. We'll talk about it with Sheldon. All right, so I want to show you the whole clip from CTV. This came from CTV News on the announcement of this United Arab Emirates deal with the United States. You're going to find this as shocking as I will. I'm sure you will. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more. Let's watch the clip, and then we will talk to Sheldon, and we'll get a little bit of reaction.
Trump claiming credit for helping to make this happen. In the coming weeks, Israel and the UAE say they will meet to sign deals related to tourism and trade, healthcare, culture, the environment. The UAE's American ambassador saying the deal is a win for diplomacy for the region. Let's show you the map of what we're talking about here, situating you Israel there on the Mediterranean and the UAE. Big players, of course, in the region. What could this mean, and what's the significance of this deal? Nader Hashemi is joining us from Denver. He is with the Center for Middle East Studies at the university there. Nader, always good to see you. Your read on this. There's a lot of buzz coming out of the White House. Cut through it for us, though. What do you think?
Well, I'm in the skeptical camp. I don't think this is a major breakthrough for peace and stability in the Middle East. And the reason why I take that position is that Israel refuses to acknowledge that in order to enhance its security in the Middle East, It has to make peace with the peoples of the Middle East, not with the dictators that rule over them. And the only way that can happen is if Israel gives a little bit of justice to the Palestinians. And that's a position that Israel refuses to do. It refuses to accept a two-state settlement, and it refuses to accept the Palestinians as full citizens. And it thinks that it can achieve its security concerns by striking these types of deals with various dictators and despots in the Middle East, assuming that those dictators and despots will be around for a very long time. So I think looked at it from that perspective, I think there's a lot to be concerned here. I don't think this really enhances the prospects for peace. What it does is I think it gives Donald Trump perhaps a fake foreign policy victory over something that he had very little role in pulling off.
Yeah, you mentioned despots and dictators. Let me ask you about the UAE. What's the calculus on their side, do you think?
Well, I think they're trying to help Donald Trump. It's important to realize that Trump has several big allies and supporters in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. So given Trump's problems domestically, he's low in the opinion polls, he might not get reelected. I think at one level, the UAE is thinking, well, we'll give Trump a victory and this might help him stay in power, and indirectly that will help us. But I think the UAE is also calculating that given rising opposition in the United States towards support for dictators and despots, for the war in Yemen, the UAE is calculating that by striking this alliance with Israel, it will act as an insurance policy, that one of the regional powers in the Middle East will now be in alliance with the UAE, and this will secure them for the long term should public opinion and should American policy sometime down the road shift against the UAE and its destabilizing policies in the Middle East.
So
You got that? The peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates is a fake foreign relations victory for Donald Trump. The hatred of Trump shown by the media, that's Bell Media that owns CTV News. The hatred of Trump shown by the media, and that was just one example. I could play you multiple examples. I don't want to waste time with this because to give them more airtime is just pointless. I don't want to waste more time with this. But if you watched CNN, you watched MSNBC, watched any of the major American news networks, this is the major Canadian one, you watched any of the major American news networks, you got the exact same story. That this was a ploy by Donald Trump so he could win the election. Joining me now is my long-suffering producer, Sheldon Eric Freed. Sheldon.
Hi, Howie. I really think we actually discussed this earlier about the role of media and presidents or leaders of foreign countries, and I go by this stress. I go by this motto, I guess you can say, is the media has a responsibility of reporting things accurately and fairly. Now, to me, it doesn't make a difference who's the president of the United States or the prime minister of Canada or anywhere around the world. If the person does a good job, if he or she helps shape peace and bringing people closer together and bringing less violence, less deaths, less tragedy in the world, that's what they should focus on. To say right away it's a political ploy, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you know what? I look at it this way. Israel and the United Arab Emirates are going to be better and better productive, and people will get along better. And the most important thing is when people go out, they don't have to worry about people getting bombed, people getting killed. So whether or not it was Trump, what gets you?
That they didn't like the fact that Donald Trump brokered this peace deal. That's not what gets me so much. What gets me is that there was no mention that the Palestinian Authority just last month said that all peace deals that with Israel have been nullified. They're not abiding by any of them. What gets me is that this reporter, was that Evan Solomon? I don't even know who that was.
I don't think it was Evan Solomon.
No, it didn't sound like Evan.
No.
But the reporter who was there, what he said, what he was basically saying was, Donald Trump may have brokered this, but he just did it for his own good, and it's not going to do any good for the Middle East. And that's really a load of bunk. And they're selling a load of bunk. And
I think it's a load of bunk because you know what? Even if, let's say, to be devil's advocate, if Trump was doing that for political points, I don't care because you know what? There's a peace deal.
Yeah.
There's a peace deal. So whether or not it's Trump, Obama, any U.S. president, if it was a socialist, whatever.
Oh, but Sheldon, you know that if it was Obama, this would be front page news everywhere.
Yes, and I'm saying that that's not right either. I'm saying that everybody should be credited or asked the hard questions based on facts, not because of political affiliations of the person's black, white, Republican, Democrat, Trump or not Trump. If Trump brokered this deal, then he should get the credit for it. The same thing as I said to you before. If Trump were to make a major mistake, I would call him out on that.
For
but
sure.
I would call Joe Biden out on it. I would call Trudeau on it. I would call anybody on it if they said or did something that was that they should not have done. But that's the thing with politics. People are in the political spotlight. Is it fair the way media has treated Trump? No.
But why do you think the media? Why do you think the media is playing heavy politics now? I know it's an election year. There's an election in a couple of months. But why do you think the media is taking sides? And this is obviously CTV News obviously took sides here.
CTV and all other media has always taken sides.
Just the choice of guests that they chose to go there. They knew the guy was going to say this is a load of bunk, and they just played right into it. So. Taking sides like that. Why would they take sides and not have like a panel discussion with this guy and another guy? A guy says, hey, this is great news for the Middle East. Another guy says, okay, it's not so good news. So at least you give a balanced opinion.
That's what the big media players forget to do is they forget to do what they used to do many, many years ago, is to take all sides of the situation and let people like you and myself, the listener, the consumer, the reader, to be able to process it and make our own decisions. We do not need media to make our decisions for us. That's the problem. That is the biggest problem. I've always said media has no business in telling us who to vote for and slanting facts or factual stories. Here's the situation. Donald Trump has helped broker the situation in the Middle East. We now have peace in the Middle East. Whether or not it was Trump, Obama, or anybody else, the facts are the facts. There's now a peace treaty signed. That's how I look at it. So whether or not it's Trump that did it or anybody else, then Trump should also take the credit. Now, is this a political brownie points? I'm not going to speculate.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, the people in United Arab Emirates or people in Israel can now breathe a sigh of relief. That's the main thing. If I was living in those regions,
Sheldon, I want to remind you,
who would I care?
I'm old enough to remember the 93 Oslo Accords. I'm old enough to remember when that happened. Mm-hmm. And I was the program director at CUTV when the Oslo Accords happened. Mm-hmm. And we canceled all programming on the station, and we played a loop of the signing ceremony between Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin over and over again for about 24 hours. Right? It was just a continuous loop. As did all the news, the entire news organizations, all of them played that signing ceremony ad nauseum, right? So that's what we did. Nobody at that time that I remember ever said, this is just Clinton trying to gain some brownie points. This is just Clinton trying to secure his legacy. Nobody said that at all. Everybody said, wow, look at that. The Arabs and the Jews signed a peace deal. Here's a country that was at war with Israel for the last 65 years. And now they've come to an agreement. It should be celebrated.
I think so. And as a matter of fact, I hope the other Arab countries will follow suit. And like you said, would make the Middle East a very wonderful region that people could live without any worry, any being scared of looking over their shoulder with somebody attempting to kill them.
Look,
and I think if you're a resident living in any of those countries, I think that's exactly you would want to have no matter who's brokered in the peace deal.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it. If the Palestinians want a peace agreement, they have to get rid of their leadership. Mahmoud Abbas has to go. The PLO has to go.
Mm-hmm.
They have to bring in normal people who want peace. When it's disingenuine, it's never going to happen. So when Yasser Arafat signed the Oslo Accords and then 2 weeks later went to Khartoum in South Africa and gave a speech in front of Nelson Mandela, who applauded it, saying, you know, what we told the Jews and we signed the Jews and the Americans is not necessarily what we have. This is our first step at achieving liberation of all of Palestine, which is essentially all of Israel in their minds. You know, when we take a look at that, you kind of wonder if you're not, you know, if I make a deal with you, we make a business deal, me and you, Sheldon, and I'm not sincere in my end of the deal. That deal is never going to work. Nothing is ever going to happen. There's never going to be peace. We're never going to have a good relationship.
Well, any relationship is based on trust, business or personal. You lose the trust, and that's the building blocks of any kind of relationship whatsoever.
So, you know, this is where we're at, right? And that's why after the 93 Oslo Accords, which was a comprehensive peace deal, which should have achieved peace in the Middle East immediately, and over time it should have created a Palestinian state. That was the idea. And that's why there were 5 more treaties after that. Because they were disingenuine and when they originally signed it. The Arabs were not sincere when they signed the original deal. So there were 5 more deals after that, and then now last month they just canceled them all and said we're not abiding by any of them. So what a waste of 20 years. More than 20 years, almost 30 years.
Well, I also think too that at the same time, as much as I agree with you that there should be a new change in the Palestinian leader, like to kick these leaders out, I also feel that if anybody's going to be progressive enough that want to have peace with Israel, I would think that they would probably wind up getting shot.
Yeah.
That's I hate to say this, and I would really hope I'm wrong.
Well, look what happened to Anwar Sadat.
Exactly. I really hope I'm wrong on this, but all it takes is one radical lunatic that will put a bullet through a person's head.
Well, you had Anwar Sadat. He signed a peace deal with Israel. A couple of weeks later, he was assassinated.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm worried about. That's why people, like if Abbas were to turn around and would want to have peace with Israel, he would be shot no matter what.
Well, you know, there is a concept that any time a caliphate in Islam, there's a concept that any time a caliphate ruled over a strip of land, that land is Islamic forever. And anybody who tries to rule that land who's not Islamic is an infidel and must be destroyed.
Yeah.
Since that exists, and the state of Israel was part of the Ottoman Empire, which was a caliphate, they could never accept a Jewish state on formerly Islamic land in their mind. So Israel and the Arabs could never come to a peace. Islam will never allow Israel to live there in peace.
And Israel has bent over backwards for the Palestinians, giving them so much stuff and
land and releasing terrorists, giving land, sovereignty. They gave them guns. They gave them infrastructure, and nothing in return. Nothing in return. It's amazing.
Yeah, nothing. They'll never be happy, and that's exactly what my fears are. But look, if the United Arab Emirates have joined in the peace deal. And hopefully there'll eventually be a lot of pressure on the Palestinians and the Palestinian leadership, and hopefully
there has to be a lot of pressure right now because the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, they are the country where the Arab League meets in. So the Arab League controls everything that happens in the Arab nations. They're the ones who created the PLO. So if they created the PLO, they could stop it as the same way they started it. And, you know, if they choose to do that, that's one thing. You know, you can sign a peace deal and choose not to do that too, right?
Well, hopefully they will get rid of the PLO, and hopefully things will start being normal. But that can take years. That can take so long to do that. And I mean, I only hope. I've always been, like you, an advocate of peace, and I'm sure many other people too, an advocate of peace in the Middle East. And everybody should be to live in peace and be able to get along. I mean,
I'm an advocate of honest journalism, and
so am I.
What CTV did there, and what Bell Media did there, was not honest journalism. That was not honest.
No, and that's the problem. And that's what I always said about elections or anything else. I don't like the way media is being slanted. Especially the big, not necessarily the small to medium media. It's always the big, huge, the big players.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's here in Canada or in the United States, those are the ones that are really slanted, and those are dangerous. And
What?
that's really dangerous. And the thing is, what that reporter said, like I don't have the issue with Todd Van Der Hayden. He was asking the questions.
Right.
It was the reporter, whoever the reporter was, I forget his name. But for what the reporter said, the first sentence that came out was Donald Trump's election thing. And I'm saying to myself, like, excuse me, there is a good peace deal here. Big players of Israel and the United Arab Emirates have signed. There's going to be now telecommunications. There's going to be free trade between the countries.
They're exchanging diplomats.
You'll be able to, there'll be embassies up, there'll be diplomatic associations, there'll be telecommunications of all kinds. I mean, this is a big step forward. Like, this was fantastic news over the last couple of days. And again, I would say to the big corporate media, who the heck cares of who that third party is? If I don't care if it was Trudeau, I don't care if it was Andrew Scheer, I wouldn't care if it was the NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. I don't care. The fact is that there's a peace deal, and the media has to take that in consideration, saying there's been a very big news in the Middle East of the real positive variety, because always in the Middle East has always been negative, has been bombings, has been senseless number of people being killed, maimed, tortured. Now this is a big peace agreement, which is very rarely do you hear news like that anywhere, never mind in the Middle East. You're hearing this now, and like I said, if Trump brokered this in, then Trump should get the credit. Trump, the leaders of the United Arab Emirates, as well as Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, they should all get the credit for trying to put this together, that they want to get together for a common cause and saying, you know what, enough is enough. Let's prosper in this region for people to live in peace and harmony. So to me, my big question is that media does not have the right to slant something. And
I just don't understand why CTV didn't just report it straight. I don't get it.
Well, that's the problem with media now. That's why I always said years ago, and this is why you and I were brought up old school and the ethical journalism standards, that we really take it very seriously from then to today, to say, let's look, media, report on the facts, and people will make their own assumptions after. It's not for you to slant in your opinion or the person up in the ivory tower. It's take the facts, report them. That's what the media is for, is unbiased journalism, asking the questions. If you're not sure of something, asking the hard questions, getting the answers, and putting it out there for people to make their own judgments and own opinions. It almost sounds like the media doesn't even trust us to make our own opinions.
Why should anyone tell me what I have to think? 1-877-669-1292 is the number to call. You could get in on the conversation. We'd love to hear what you have to say. I played a clip from CTV News at the beginning of the show where they brought on, they were reporting on the United Arab Emirates and Israel signing a peace agreement, and they brought on a guest who was totally, he said he was skeptical right at the beginning of the interview. He said he was skeptical about this deal, and that he thought the deal was merely a way for Donald Trump to be able to achieve brownie points before an American election. 1-877-669-1292. I'm talking with Sheldon Freed. He is my long-suffering producer. He's been he's on the show. He's here with me now. You could be on the phones at 1-877-669-1292. Sheldon, how do we change the media? How do we get them to go back to the way it used to be? Is there any way to do that aside from buying the media? I mean, if we all purchased the major media organizations, then we'd be able to change things. But is there any way to,
exactly.
Is there any way to do it without having to spend $100 billion to buy them?
Well, you know what? It's all in the mind of the listener, because you know what? Like you said, you don't need somebody. You're an independent thinker, as am I. You don't need somebody telling you how to think or telling you this or telling you that. It's the media might get involved with something that we may not know in terms of getting the facts out. But that's all they should do, is get into the facts, get into all the information, do the digging, and then taking it and making it into an unbiased situation whereby they state the facts or they print the facts, and it's up to us to make the decision.
Is it possible for the media to do that? Do you think it's possible?
Well, you know what? It is possible. It's all a matter of thinking, and it's all in the mindset. It's the same thing as people that consume the media, whether or not they read the newspaper or they listen to the radio or watch television. It's up to the population at large to say to the media, you know what, guys? Stop telling me what to think. It's like a child telling an adult. It's the same thing. Like if you were to tell your mother years ago, if you were 5, 6 years old, to tell her what to think. So it's the same thing. It's like they're treating us like children, and they're telling us what to think because they believe that we are unable to make our own intelligent assumptions or decisions.
But why would they believe that? Why do you think they believe that, Sheldon?
I don't know. Why they change, because they you know what? I'll you know what? I have the answer. It's one word. It's called sensationalism.
Do you think that's
all
what it
about
is?
ratings, and it's sensationalism. It's sensationalistic journalism.
Do you think that's what it was? Really?
I know that's what it is, because look, if you take even before social media, I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Before social media, there was never a lot of these enhancement of clips and whatever the case is, and editing and splicing and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
But now with the advantages of audio and the technologies we have today, plus social media, plus all the availability of the news on the internet and the audio that we can capture, people can actually take clips and edit them for their own satisfaction. So they might take, how many times have you heard of them?
People have been doing that for years, though, Sheldon.
Yeah, but since the technology has been in the works, they've even done it more, and it's even worse now than it's ever been. Where before, even if they decided to take some information and let's say edit it, they would do it more in a read than they would on a clip. Because let's say, for example, if you didn't hear that clip, and you would hear that, let's say, certain things they wanted you to hear, but you didn't hear the clip in its entirety, you would think that would be the clip in essence.
I went. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, I was running a truth. I was running Save All Jews Everywhere. It was a Jewish activist group, and I got a call from Emmanuel Lowy. I'll even name the guy because I don't care. I got a call from Emmanuel Lowy. Emmanuel Lowy was a reporter for CBC's Daybreak, hosted by Royal Laura at the time. So this is how far back we're going. It's a while ago. And Emmanuel Lowy says to me, "Hey, listen, you're pretty vocal. I'd like to interview you." And I said, "Sure." And he says, "Where can we do the interview?" And I was at school at the time. I was at Concordia. And I said, "You know what? Let's meet at Concordia." And we met in my car. And we did the interview in the front seat of my car. And he recorded the interview, and he asked me all these questions. They were pretty leading questions, whatever, but he asked me all these questions, and I answered his questions. And then the next morning, around 7 o'clock in the morning, I went to listen to the interview. And when I listened to the interview, I was shocked that the questions that were asked in the interview that aired on CBC were very different from the questions that were asked me in the car. And the answers I gave, which were answers to the questions that were asked of me in the car, made me sound like a radical crazy guy. And so I immediately sent an email. Well, it wasn't no emails at the time. I immediately sent a fax. That's how long ago this was. I'm dating myself. I immediately sent the fax to CBC and said, "Hey, listen, what the heck? That wasn't the interview. That's not what happened." And after an investigation, they fired him from the show because he doctored the tapes. But this has been happening for years. This is not new, Sheldon. So how do we stop this?
That's it. The people have to call them out on that. And they call it the old drag and drop. Is like they'll take out questions that they would have asked you in the car. They keep your answers, and what they do is they'll they'll re-record the questions that they asked you, and then they put them in, they drop them in.
And they
So
essentially
then
make
then
you
it
say
makes-
stuff that you didn't really say.
Exactly. So it'll make you sound like you're like of the person that you are. They'll make you sound like much different, either a radical or whatever, right wing, left wing, whatever the case is. Whereas you answered the questions based on the questions you heard in the car.
Right.
So I call it the old drag and drop, or the old cut and paste type of thing. And that's exactly what and yeah, the person should have been fired. Absolutely no question about it, because that is really irresponsible journalism. And the thing is, now with the big corporate media, the big boys, as I'm saying, because I'm not going to say it's the smaller medium. The small and medium really haven't, not to the same effect as the big boys. Let's put it this way.
I don't know. I was working for a small local newspaper, and they changed my articles to match
I'm saying about the broadcasting.
to match their editorial point of view. So,
Okay. I'm saying about the small broadcasting media. I don't know about the papers. You would be a lot more knowledgeable on that than I would be, but I'm only basing it on electronic broadcasting media. So I can't say about journal. Yeah, I know you've told me many times, and that they've.
I told the story on the air quite a few times.
Yeah, and obviously they should not have done it either. And the thing is, if they're going to, the only time I could see them ever calling out a columnist is if they didn't do their research, and right away they just put very erroneous facts in without doing any research and without really investigating their piece and what they need to do. And that's a different story, that they should be called on it. But if you're doing your facts properly, which I know you do, I know you are a very responsible journalist, no question in my mind, because I know you. And the thing is, that they doctored your article after doing all this, and you were telling me, even one of the articles you were saying at an Israeli-Palestinian demonstration, that you went to both sides to get the facts from both sides, and you were told something else, that you should not have done that. And I disagree with that, because you did the proper thing. And even if, let's say, for example, you did not, you don't agree with the Palestinian stance, you at least got their side of the story, which is what journalists have to do. They have to put their politics and viewpoints aside and get both sides of the story. You might be gritting your teeth and biting your tongue. And that's one of the toughest things ever for journalists to do. Is to get that second side that you don't like, but you still have to get that second side nevertheless, because you have to put both, as they always say, there's three sides to every story, one side, the other side, and the truth. And you have to get the three sides balancing for people to make their own decisions.
Look, I never had a problem doing that. I know some people do. I've never had a problem doing that. I can put my personal opinion aside and have a decent conversation with somebody. A decent neutral conversation with somebody.
You may not look. You're not going to agree with what
I don't have to agree. My job is not to agree.
Yeah. But you keep things in check, and that's what a seasoned, proper.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do in journalism. Now, the thing is that people at large, I've also been at fault, because they're not saying to the media, "Hey, you know what? You're doing things wrong. And I'm sorry, but we're one of the people that you never know that we can advertise on your media stream. So get your facts together and put the facts balanced and unbiased, factual stories and articles and opinions and everything, and let us judge. We're not babies here. Let us judge for ourselves. You do not have to be our mothers and fathers. We are old enough to be able to formulate our own opinions. Our opinions may be wrong. Our viewpoints might be wrong, but that's our viewpoints."
You're listening to the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. The numbers to call, 1-877-669-1292 to get in on the conversation. You can talk with me and Sheldon Eric Freed, who is here with me tonight. I have some more information about the show and the changes we're making to the show starting this coming week. We're slowly rolling out changes to the show. I will share those with you a little later on. But if you want to talk about media and media bias, because there's plenty of media bias out there, especially anti-Trump media bias, there's tons of it. And I don't think it's acceptable. Look, I may not agree with everything Donald Trump does as president. I may not like the fact that he's president of the United States, but I respect the fact that he's the president. I respect the office of the presidency. And,
well, that's what I do also. Yeah.
and because I respect the process, I respect the democracy, I respect the process of electing somebody. If this is who the American people chose to elect according to the rules of the election, then I accept the fact that he's president. Now, if you don't like Donald Trump, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to skew your reporting against Donald Trump. You could just report honestly. This is what he did, and let the people decide. The people elect their leadership. This is the way it's supposed to work. So if the people don't like what Donald Trump is doing as president of the United States, the people of the United States could vote Donald Trump out in 4 years. He has a 4-year term. At the end of the 4-year term, he either gets reelected or he leaves. So if you don't like what he does, you could vote him out. It's quite simple.
It's the same thing as radio stations. You don't like a radio station, you tune out.
Exactly.
You tune to somewhere else, you shut it, or you close up the radio station.
Turn off the radio station, and if enough people turn it off, the radio station goes off the air.
Except for us.
Simple as
you
that.
have to keep turning us on here on True Talk Radio. So you have to keep
Sheldon, they always turn me on.
Okay, that's all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Got that one in over real quick.
But the True Talk Radio, we don't have any advertisers, so we say what we want to say, and we say it how we want to say it, and there's nobody telling us what we can and can't say. We're not reliant on anybody.
Pride. We say it with pride. Proud we do.
I am very proud of the shows we do on the station.
Yeah.
Which is why we're making some changes.
So you're going to elaborate a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
Of new things that people can expect here on TrueTalkRadio.com.
Not everything, but just new things.
But I know.
And not on TrueTalkRadio.com, on the Howie Silbiger Show.
Yeah. And when you did your video, which was very well presented, by the way.
Thank you
Very
very
well
much.
presented. I saw it, and I even called you.
You called me immediately right after. Yes, you did.
Right after, and I said, "My God, am I proud of the host of the Howie Silbiger Show, Howie Silbiger, which is I think the best show on."
I tell you, after that call, my chest was all puffed up, Sheldon. I walked around with a puffy chest with pride for the rest of the day.
And then we were discussing about True Talk Radio and all this, and I was saying, well, this is amazing. And I said, what else do you have in store? And you say, well, when we go to air on Sunday, we're going to know a little bit more.
That's
right. So we're going to know a little bit more than what we did before, but
not as much as you'll know on Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. And then, are you going to give us a little bit more on Tuesday to go like to Thursday or something like that, or you think Tuesday you're basically going to?
Well, like I said, it's a slow rollout. It's taken me a lot longer. Take me a lot longer to line up the people I want to line up, and take me a lot longer to make the changes I want to make. I mean,
I can tell you one thing, listeners. It's going to be exciting. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's going to be exciting.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Do I look excited? I am excited.
You're so excited, Howie, and you just can't hide it. And that's the main thing. And that's what I like.
I'm about to lose control, Sheldon, but I think I like it.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you're not excited, then nobody's going to like it.
That's true.
And then everybody's not going to lose control.
All right. So now that Sheldon's finished babbling,
thank you.
We will let me fill you in on some of the changes that we're going to make here on the Howie Silbiger Show. So, thank you, Sheldon. All right, here
we spare no expense.
Here are some of the changes that are going to happen. The show is moving times, so we are not going to air at the same time that we have been airing for the last 6 years. So Sunday nights at 6 o'clock, or 8 o'clock, or at 7 o'clock, or at 7:30, depending on the week. We're going to have a set time, and that's the time that we're going to air. I can't tell you the time right now, but I'll have more information on that on Tuesday.
Okay.
Look, the show isn't the only thing I do in my life, and I have other schedules that I have to work around, and I will have my final schedule on Monday, which means that on Tuesday's show I'll be able to tell you the schedule.
Aha. Okay.
That is really what I'm trying to say here. Is that
what you're trying to say?
I don't have all the information for you tonight.
But you will have the information on Tuesday.
Well, maybe not all of it, but a lot more than I have tonight.
And then on Thursday, you'll probably have more than you did on Tuesday. But will you have all of it on Thursday?
Well, I'll have maybe all of it on Sunday.
Yeah, please let me know, huh?
So the show is changing times, and I know a lot of you watch it or listen to it on replay, or watch it and listen to it on archive. and then that's fine. Or you listen to the podcast, which is great. So the time change of the live show doesn't really affect you very much. But those of you that listen to it live, the announcements will be put up also on the True Talk on the Howie Silbiger Show page on Facebook. So so you can check it out on Facebook. I will post up the updates on the Howie Silbiger Show page on Facebook. We are adding some new features. There are some people who are going to be joining the show, and there are some people that, if you've been listening to the show for a long time, you'll recognize some of the names coming back. We're bringing back some of the old guys, and old guys. They're not that old. I mean, I think the oldest one we're bringing back is in his 30s, Sheldon.
Uh-huh.
But they were around for a long time. They've been on the show for a while.
Okay.
Then they left, and now they're coming back. So we're going to bring back some old names, and we're going to bring back some new names. We're going to bring in some new names. We're not bringing back new names. We're going to bring in new names.
You're going to bring in new old names or new old names?
Well, some names will be old names. Some names will be new names. Some names will be no names. But there'll be names. Definitely names.
There'll be names. Okay.
I can tell you one name right now. He's coming back. It's our financial guru, Daniel Inayetsadeh. He'll be back doing a financial segment here on the show.
Nice.
We haven't done a money segment in a long time, and Daniel has agreed to come back and do a money segment on the show.
Welcome, Daniel.
He was supposed to be on tonight, but I pushed him off for another couple of days because I wanted to get everything kind of organized before we brought him on.
Oh, you pushed him off. Okay.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
He was excited about being on tonight, but I asked him to delay his return to the show.
Okay, so you asked him to delay his excitement is what you did.
I did, yeah. So now he's excited about coming back on the show in a couple of weeks or next week.
That. Okay.
Next week or in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure yet.
I don't think I ever met him. I think it might have been before I joined your show.
Daniel, I think, was on the show in probably 2012, 2013.
Yeah, because I came on October
guess.
of 2013 or something like that.
Yeah, so maybe 2011, 2012, Daniel was around, 2010.
Yeah. Okay.
Somewhere in that area, right? Between 210 and 214, he was around.
Okay.
He was around the same time that Tzvi Herskovich was on the show. I think you were there for Tzvi.
No.
And Itai Azarad was on the show. I don't think you were there for Itai.
Itai I was, yeah.
Yeah,
sure,
right,
Itai.
You were there for the end of Itai.
Yeah, near the end of Itai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was on like kind of mid-range Itai. Yeah.
Mid-range Itai. Okay. Are you talking about his voice or mid-range in the ear?
His voice hasn't changed in the I don't know how many years has been on since he started the show.
That's funny.
It's over a decade for sure.
Itai, if you're listening, we love you.
It was his birthday, so happy birthday, Itai. It was just his birthday.
Happy birthday, Itai. All the best. Ago. Yes.
Him and his brother Asaf, they're twins, and happy birthday to both of them.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Itai's not coming back, as far as I know. But Daniel is. And we have a whole bunch of other guys who are coming back. I'm just kind of working out, negotiating with them now. So I'll have more information about it in the next couple of days, for sure.
Okay.
Next few days.
So they'll have access to the True Talk mobile and the True Talk credit card and all that other stuff, eh?
Yeah, all the same access you have to everything, Sheldon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's access.
These long chats I have with Sheldon are going to be cut down a bit because we have a lot of other segments to get on. So Sheldon will be around. I mean, he'll be on, but
I'll be around.
We're not going to have 45-minute conversations anymore, Show.
Oh, darn. Just when I was trying to make you laugh and you were trying to make me laugh.
I know.
Oh, well.
I know. What can we do?
Yeah.
Some weeks we will have 45-minute conversation. All depends on the week. So we'll take it week by week. We'll see how it works out.
Sounds good.
And Mark David has been around for a while. I spoke to him the other day. And
how's he doing?
He's doing great. He's busy. He's very, very busy. And he doesn't have time to be on the show at the moment. When he has time, he will be back. But because he's not around, and I kind of miss his On the Mark segment, Sheldon is going to be filling in with the newscast. And so I've asked Sheldon to prepare a newscast every week, and Sheldon will be filling in for Mark until Mark comes back with a newscast here on the show. Mark did our news, and we appreciate every day of the 12 years he was on the show. and I'm sure that when he has time and when he has a chance and when he's able to, he will be back on the show. I look forward to welcoming Mark back. He's okay. I know a lot of people have emailed me and asked me about Mark and why he's no longer on the show. He just has some personal stuff he has to deal with, and he's busy personally, so we gave him time off, and he'll be back as soon as he can.
Good. Well, Mark, if you're listening, hope all is well, and we hope one day you will be coming back to us.
Yes, we look forward to that day. Sheldon Eric Freed has prepared a newscast, and I am looking forward to hearing this newscast. Now, I should have a sounder for it, which I don't, but I will in the future.
Well, I tell you what I can do. Until you have a sounder, I could just read off in terms of a very funny and strange things in the news that really can get you scratching your head on some of these stories that I picked out for you.
I'm waiting in bated anticipation.
So if you want, I could read it as a regular person as opposed to a serious newscast when I would actually get a musical thing behind me. But it's your choice.
All right, Sheldon. Let's hear it. Let's hear it as a regular newscast,
okay.
with no sounders.
Oh. Bridesmaid who turned up to their mutual friend's
one
wedding
sec.
rehearsal.
Stop.
Okay.
One sec. Let me introduce you.
Oh, just okay.
I mean, it's a regular newscast, so we need that
Yes.
that grandiose introduction, right?
Okay.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, True Talk Radio proudly presents the news with Sheldon Eric Freed.
Well, Howie, I am back and once again here on True Talk Radio. Here are some funny and strange things in the news. Bridesmaid who turns up their mutual friend's wedding rehearsal wearing a tiara. A bridesmaid has been slammed for wearing a tiara to a wedding rehearsal. A fellow wedding guest explained that a few members of the wedding party had been asked to wear casual summer dresses to the run-through. Nothing over the top. But when they arrived, they were left mind-boggled when they saw that the 25-year-old bridesmaid was wearing a crown on her head. The members of the wedding party wrote, "I'm not sure if it's petty or not of me to post this. I'm just genuinely mind-boggled. We were asked to wear sundresses for it. I get there and said the 25-year-old bridesmaid has a crown on her head. I have heard of royalty before, Howie, but this is a little over the top. The top of her head, that is."
Whew.
Second item in the news. Mom shared the gift she made for her son's 18th birthday online. Any parent with a teenager knows so well how hard it can be to buy for them when it comes to their birthday or Christmas. So an Australian woman shared the gift she put together for her son to ensure he would be happy with what he got. She had arranged 5 different gift cards on a notice board with a note beside each one. The note read, "Happy 18th, Kaylin. Treat yourself to something for the road, untraveled, for your car or fishing. Enjoy now. You're 18 and legal, but get home safe. Love, Dad, Alicia, and Ava." Beside the note was a number of gift cards for different shops. There was a MasterCard debit card, gift cards for Kohl's, Rebel Sport and other brands, Liquorland, and Uber. She also shared a picture of the sweet setup for the big day with balloons, another gift box, present, and a notice board of gift cards. Since being posted to Facebook, hundreds of parents have praised the present. One said, "That's very cool. Great idea, hon. I might just copy it." News item number 3, strange as it is. Mom's witty response to neighbor's brutal note about baby's inconsiderate crying. A mom who received a rude note from her neighbor about her baby has hit back in the best way. Malaysian-based mom Geraldine Amy Ya received a message from her neighbor about her 5-month-old baby's crying. The neighbor who wrote the letter is currently working from home during this coronavirus pandemic, but is finding it hard to concentrate with the baby's moaning in the background. So she left the mom a note asking her to be more considerate and to close any doors during the day so they cannot hear the baby wailing. The note reads, "Hello, could you please close the door when baby's crying during daytime? Currently, we're working from home. Please be more considerate," reported the son. The mom also claimed that her neighbor visited her home and complained to the woman's maid. Stunned by her neighbor's action, Geraldine posted a note of her own and shared it on Facebook. She wrote, "For infant, they can get real irritating with their high-pitched screaming or crying, but that's the way they communicate, and I do not have the magic to stop her from crying or make her grow up faster so that she can communicate without crying." She also joked, "We gave her a stern warning on the day we received your feedback. I'm not sure if she quite understood it, but she did look serious after hearing it and gave it a pity, sad look." Geraldine promised to keep the door closed as much as possible during the day, but said the stuffy weather may cause the baby to be cranky. Instead, she suggested that her neighbors close the door and asked if they would consider wearing headphones to block out any noise. She added, "I would appreciate you not to come over to shout and scold my helper, as your behavior have scared her and my baby." After Geraldine sarcastically described her baby's cries as, quote, "noise pollution," she concluded by telling her neighbor to contact the authorities for any suggestions. And last but not least, strange and funny stories in the news, Howie. Children destroy parents' house and they post hilarious listings to sell it. A virtual property tour for a home on sale has gone viral for its refreshingly honest approach to find a buyer. The 4-bedroom house in New South Wales, Australia, is described as barely livable and advises house hunters looking for a quick move to give it a miss due to destruction found after stepping through the front door. The marketing video makes no attempts to hide the glaring holes in the walls, missing floorboards, and mold, thanking the previous owners for, quote, "doing the courtesy of starting the renovation one punch at a time." It's listed with an asking price of about £246,000 and has racked up thousands of views on realestate.com.au after the state of the property went steeply downhill when the long-term owners moved away and left it to their children. Matt Gravis, an estate agent for Giteau's, said they clearly enjoyed the place a bit too much and unfortunately destroyed the property from throwing lots of wild parties, among other things. When the parents returned home, Matt said they were left with no choice but to sell up after seeing the havoc waiting for them inside. The virtual tour points out the featured deconstructed wall in the entrance with wires hanging loose and a gaping hole, Howie, in the floor of a doorway. It states the kitchen has been partially renovated, with the other part found in one of the bedrooms featuring a bedspoke mold splashback, a theme the owners have kept going throughout the house. Inspecting the master bedroom, it says, "Plenty of light in this room, custom-made one-of-a-kind stained carpet," I can imagine the stains,
Yeah.
"and an open plan ensuite. Nothing says romance like lying in bed and talking to your partner when they're on the tush." In the bathroom, the renovation is already underway with the addition of a freshly toilet roll and a hole in the door. An asbestos hole in the wall is passed off as abstract art, and the sellers promise to throw in the treasure trove of junk lurking under the foundations of the house for no extra cost.
Wow.
But despite the rotting timber decking, Howie, missing floorboards, overgrown garden, and rusted shed, the listing agent has said it sparked a lot of interest from first-time buyers looking to get on the market and builders after a project. Lots of buyers are keen to do a mini reno on the property, while a few are looking at gutting it completely, said Matt. First home buyers have really come back into the market of late, and we are being inundated with requests. And that's funny and strange things in the news on the Howie Silbiger Show on the Truth Talk Radio Network.
Well, Sheldon, I got one story for you.
Yes.
A runaway horse named Vertigo was rescued late Wednesday after partially falling through a wooden pedestrian bridge at a park in Plantation, Florida. Vertigo was being ridden by his owner along Northwest 118th Avenue near Volunteer Park when a passing car spooked him, said Aston Bright, spokesman for Plantation Fire Rescue. He reared up and freaked out, Bright said. When the owner got off to calm him down, Vertigo took off running at the park. The 1,100-pound horse eventually made his way onto the park's pedestrian bridge. That's when several boards gave way and he fell. He couldn't get up. His right hind legs were trapped in the hole. When Plantation Fire Rescue and Davie Fire Rescue specialized animal rescue units for large animals, such as horses, arrived, Vertigo was flailing about and trying to escape. The situation looked bad, Bright said. A 50-ton tow truck with the boom was called in to help hoist the horse out of the hole. The rescue went smoothly except for one moment when Vertigo was seen nearly kicking one of his rescuers while being lifted out of the hole. Vertigo was eventually sedated and dragged off the bridge for a checkup with Dr. Tiffany Trotter, an equine veterinarian. He had lacerations on his leg, but it didn't appear to be fractured. About an hour after the rescue, Vertigo then got up by himself. I think he's doing really well, all things considered, Trotter told the local 10. The leg that was actually stuck under the bridge is the leg that he's been bearing more weight on, which is a good sign. Plantation Fire Rescue later posted on their Facebook that Vertigo is doing well and is standing up on his own 4 feet. He was set to get a full checkup on Thursday. Bright said that this was the first horse rescue Plantation Fire had responded to in about 15 or 20 years. The team that rescued Vertigo is wishing him a full recovery, filled with relaxation and yummy apples, and hopefully he won't get too dizzy.
Love it. Love it. Dr. Trotter,
It's a good thing Dr. Trotter was there when the horse got dizzy and fell through the hole. When
a horse with no name.
A horse named Vertigo got dizzy and fell through the hole.
Or Hall and Oates could have been in on it too.
Only in Florida, Sheldon.
Yeah, only in Florida. Great. Way to share it. That's great. That's marvelous.
All right, that's it for us. I'm all out of time.
It was enjoyable, as it always is, Howie.
Sure, you're just saying that. I know the truth.
You know the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know the truth.
I want to thank everyone who listened. We'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be back on Tuesday with another episode here on the Howie Silbiger Show, right here on the
Put some more information of what to expect on the Howie Silbiger Show.
Well, hopefully.
Yes.
I hope to have more information on Tuesday.
If not, then Thursday, and then if not, then next Sunday.
Well,
yes.
It's coming. I told you it's going to come slow, so it's going to come slow.
Yeah.
I'm Howie Silbiger. This is the Howie Silbiger Show. We'll see you again next week.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.